I gotta introduce you. This is Frankenstein, by the way, in case we're dog lovers around here. Get this kicked off the right way.
Okay, you're gonna love this. I can't reveal too much, but I name drop Frankenstein on my album that's coming in October.
I think that I should try to kill my ego, 'cause if I don't, my ego might kill me.
Hey everyone, Nick Major here with the Spout podcast, and we have got a chat with Halsey coming up here in just a second about a new song and album, but the VMAs are also this week, which Halsey is performing at, so we're going to take a look at what to expect at the awards this year. Kendrick Lamar announces that he'll be performing at the Super Bowl halftime show next year, and if you have been on TikTok for even a second this past week or so, I just have to dive into the latest trend that is being deemed as the unlimited money glitch, which is not an unlimited money glitch, I need to add. It will actually ruin your life and send you to prison.
The new viral TikTok trend that some users are calling a money glitch or free money hack, it's actually having some serious consequences.
So stay tuned to hear about that. But first, I wanted to make sure you check out my interview from last week with Jelly Roll, who was just announced as the headliner for next year's Stagecoach. So that is incredible. One of the headliners to end off one of the days. We met up in Portland, Oregon last weekend, a few hours ahead of his headline sold-out arena show there, which the Beautifully Broken tour, it is going on right now. There's like 50 or close to 50 stops left on this thing, and it's absolutely incredible. You can catch the full interview up on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Just look up Spout Podcast. But here's a little look back at what we just chatted about. Give it up for Jelly Roll real quick, just as we kick this off.
Little baby Jelly Roll clap.
There we go. My two good friends, Jack and Alex, they're in your band.
Yes. You must do drugs.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
So it was the old me, Mom.
Okay.
Things have changed.
Sorry, Ma.
So in Utah, inflation is so crazy. Is it true lemonade is $700?
The lemonade is expensive in Utah.
Country star Jelly Roll rolling up to a lemonade stand in Utah. Jelly Roll handed over nearly $700.
Well, I didn't have no money for the record. I keep getting praised for the $700. I was broke. I was in the car like, we need to put all our money together. And they was like, how much you got? I was like, nothing. How much do y'all got?
And if there's the Jelly Roll tour coming near you, get your kids, set up a lemonade stand out front, because you have no idea who could show up.
That'll be the new hustle. There'll be 40 lemonade stands outside.
All right, so that was just a little taste of my interview with Jelly Roll. Don't forget to check out the full thing. But for now, it's on to the new stuff, okay? So this past Friday, Halsey released a new track called Ego off of her upcoming 5th album, The Great Impersonator. It serves as her 5th studio album. It's going to be coming out October 25th. On Friday, the day that Ego came out, I was fortunate enough to grab Halsey for a super quick last-minute chat. So sit back and enjoy the next few minutes as we chat with Halsey about The Great Impersonator, and then stick around after the chat where I'll be diving into plenty more music, entertainment, and pop culture headlines. See you then. Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I got to introduce you. This is Frankenstein, by the way, in case we're dog lovers around here. Get this kicked off the right way. So,
oh my God. Okay, you're gonna love this. I can't reveal too much, but I name drop Frankenstein on my album that's coming in October.
Frankie, you got a shout out on the upcoming Halsey album. Oh my gosh, that was so nice of you.
Not only that, but I say Little Frankenstein, so I feel like that's gonna hit even closer to home.
We know you were thinking of us when you did that, so we really appreciate that. But speaking of your new album, yes, you have a 5th album on the way, The Great Impersonator. You have been dropping songs from it. Today, you dropped the new video and track Ego.
I can't keep my feet on the ground, and I'm nervous what you'll think of me now.
So talk to me about that song and about the video that it inspired, which you wrote and directed. You're portraying both characters. How did this song inspire the video that would come from it?
I think that I should try to kill my ego, 'cause if I don't, my ego might kill me.
The album is kind of just like this exploration of these thought experiments, right? Of like, what if I was Halsey in the 70s? Like, what if I was Halsey in the 80s, the 90s, like the early 2000s? And, you know, I think that Ego is definitely that sort of 90s Halsey coming to life a little bit.
Yes, and I'm a 90s kid, and I thought it was such a bop and so good.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to sound like something like a pop rock song we would have heard on the radio, you know, when we were younger. And like, I think that when it came to the video, I really wanted to pull from these like 90s influences. So there's like a lot of like Long Car Y, but then it's also kind of like Natural Born Killers, and it's like little Tarantino, and like, it's got
Love
this
it.
like super 90s pulp. It's kind of Fight Club because it's like the dual personalities thing,
Yeah.
it's like pulling from all these like classics. And honestly, Mr. and Mrs. Smith was like a huge influence. And it's not a 90s film, but Angelina and Brad are obviously huge icons of that time. So they just like, they came to mind immediately. But yeah, the video it's such a blast. It's super fun. It features like two different versions of me trying to like totally like sneak attack and destroy each other. And I had a blast making it. It was my first music video that I ever directed, and
Congrats.
thank
It
you.
turned out beautiful. I know that you love filmmaking and art in general, so that must have been exciting to knock out.
It was super exciting. If I could go back in history, I would maybe not pick my first video to be one where I'm also playing both
Both characters.
I had too many jobs that day. And I need a little bit of a mountain to climb to be excited. Like I like to create a challenge for myself. But I was also like, what? This is a lot,
Yeah.
It was a lot. Yeah.
So The Great Impersonator, it is what if I debuted in this decade? What if I debuted in this decade? It's so cool. How did this concept come to be? And did it come while you were already making new music? Or did you go in knowing, hey, I want to do a decades inspired album?
I didn't know right away. I started writing songs, and then, I kind of started attributing them to different like musical influences, where I was like, wouldn't it be cool if this one sounded like REM, or like, wouldn't it be cool if this sounded like Fleetwood Mac, or like, and then they kind of all started falling into different decades of artists and, groups that had inspired me to become a musician, like a lot of my musical discovery. I was thinking a lot about fate. I'm coming up on 10 years of, since my debut album came out.
We are the new Americana. High on legal marijuana.
Which is crazy. I cannot believe it's almost been 10 years. That's insane.
I know. I feel like I wish I could jump on the rooftops and shout to everybody, I was 19 when I made it. I'm not that old. Because 10 years just feels like just so insane. But, that's a decade for me. It was like I was 19 turning 20 when I made Badlands, and I'm 29 turning 30 when this album comes out. And so, the concept of the decade has been so important. It's been a decade of my career. I'm turning a new decade in my life. And I think that just, the chips kind of all fell into place in that way, where I wanted to go explore all the other decades. But like, what can happen in 10 years,
Which decade for you was the most fun to go and explore?
Okay, I had the most fun with the 90s because I feel like I'm just such a 90s girl, like I love doing like the 90s rock vibe. That's totally me. But writing songs for the 70s was the most fun because I tried to make the record in like a really technically authentic place, so I was like recording with like actual equipment and like tape engineering that they recorded with in the 70s.
That is sick and authentic. That's
yeah,
dope.
yeah. So that was so cool because I was just nerding out over that,
That's exciting. Well, The Great Impersonator by Halsey, it's out October 25th. You've dropped 4 songs from it now. I believe the fans have found all of the variations from the scavenger hunt.
Yes.
So, props to them for that. But thank you so much for chatting. Have a blast at the VMAs. I know that you're going to be performing there, and I can't wait to hear the rest of the album. It's exciting to know that I don't know which decade is going to be coming up next. So I'm excited.
There's surprises coming for sure. And there's 18 tracks on the record. So there's a lot of room to play around. It's a big one. Thanks for having me. And I can't wait to talk to you again soon.
Yes, take it easy. Thank you so much, Halsey. Have a good one. Whew! And that was my chat with Halsey. By the way, so sick that I happened to just even for a few minutes talk to Halsey on Friday, the day the song came out. That was so sick. Again, the new song is Ego, out now off the upcoming album, The Great Impersonator, which drops October 25th. Be sure to check out the other 3 songs that are out from it as well. We've got The End.
If you knew it was the end of the world, could you love me like a child? Could you hold me in the dark?
Lonely is the Muse.
I always knew I was a martyr and that Jesus was one too, but I was built from special pieces that I learned how to unscrew.
And Lucky.
'Cause I'm so lucky, I'm a star.
let's dive into the VMAs. The MTV Video Music Awards, they are kicking off this Wednesday, September 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time from New York at the UBS Arena. If you were paying attention the past few weeks, the show was initially scheduled to take place on the 10th, but due to the upcoming presidential debate happening on the 10th, they ended up pushing it a day. No surprise that Taylor Swift has the most nominations this year with 10 nominations. Coming in at second is Post Malone with 9 nominations, but interestingly enough, most of Post Malone's nominations, they come from his collab with Swift on their song Fortnite. Sabrina Carpenter, Ariana Grande, and Eminem, they are tied for third with nominations, and it has also just been revealed that Eminem is going to be opening the performance this year at the VMAs, which is so awesome.
Well, look what the stork brung. Little baby devil with the forked tongue. And it's sticking out, yeah, like a sore thumb. With a forehead that it grew horns from.
While we're talking about Eminem, by the way, at the start of my episode, I mentioned my new interview with the country star Jelly Roll. He has a song out with Eminem, and he even performed on stage with him a couple months ago. So be sure to listen to Somebody Save Me. It's his track with him. It's from Jelly Roll's song Save Me. Eminem came across it, turned it into his own track, but it features Jelly Roll. Such a powerful song.
Give them all power to fuck to. And I love you more than a pill looking up to. The ceiling from this floor on the wheel. Somebody save me. Me from myself.
It made Haley, Eminem's daughter, who the song is about, she said she cried when she listened to it, and she said she can't watch the music video again. But go listen to Somebody Save Me, and here's another clip from my chat with Jelly Roll as he talks about his collab with Eminem. Eminem took that song.
Yeah.
Wrote this heartfelt, beautiful track to his daughter. You performed with him as well live. How has this Eminem collab with you been?
It's by far the most unreal thing that's happened in my career yet, where it's like you're actually, there's probably 5 people on earth I'd meet that I would clearly be jittery around. It'd be like Garth Brooks, James Taylor, Bob Seger, Eminem, like people I grew up knowing every word of every song they've ever released.
Yeah.
So, and then even when he sent the record over and I got to hear it the first time, for me it was such a fan because it was like, I don't know it reminded me of like Mockingbird.
Little baby, don't you cry. Everything's gonna be alright. Stiffen that up, pull it up, little lady. I told you, daddy's here to hold you through the night.
They felt really nostalgic of that like deep Eminem, like Stan Eminem, like that Eminem that real storyteller, the Eminem that made you feel like you was in his living room with him.
And again, do not forget to catch my full interview with Jelly Roll out now on the Spout podcast. So apart from Eminem performing, he, by the way, is tied with Peter Gabriel for the most wins by a male solo artist at the VMAs. All right, the stacked night also includes performances from our good friend Halsey.
Tell me how's it feel sitting up there, feeling so high, but too far away to hold me.
As well as Chappell Roan, Shawn Mendes, Benson Boone, Sabrina Carpenter, Lenny Kravitz, and more. It is an insane lineup with Megan Thee Stallion hosting, and some of the many presenters on the stage will include Lil Nas X, Addison Rae, Carson Daly, Tinashe, and Paris Hilton. It is shaping up to be one hell of a show. If they were able to make this happen on the 14th of September, they would have literally hit the 40-year anniversary mark of VMAs. So congrats to MTV and the VMAs for such a long, successful show. Voting has been taking place on the MTV Instagram recently on their stories for categories Song of Summer, Best Group, and Best Trending Videos. Some of the Song of Summer nominations include Ariana Grande's We Can't Be Friends, Wait for Your Love.
We can't be friends, but I'd like to just pretend.
Beautiful Things by Benson Boone.
Take these beautiful things that I've got.
Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish.
Birds of a feather, we should stick together. I know I said I'd never think I wasn't better.
Chappell Roan's Good Luck Babe.
'Cause I'm the boys and boys, shoot another shot to stop the feeling.
And Charlie XCX and Billie Eilish's Guess. The list also has Taylor Swift, SZA, Shaboozey, Eminem, Hozier, and more. Check out the full thing online if you want to see it because it is insane. It's been a good year for music. Running through the list of best group, we have got NSYNC, which is so wild to be saying in 2024, and I could not be more excited and happy about that, as well as Coldplay, Imagine Dragons, NCT Dream, New Jeans, 17, Tomorrow Together, and 21 Pilots. For best trending video, we got Beyonce, Texas Hold'em.
This ain't Texas. Ain't no Hold'em. So lay your cards down, 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 down.
Camila Cabello featuring Playboi Carti on I Love It.
And tomorrow. I love it, 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 I love it. I love it, 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 I love it.
Chaperone with Hot to Go, which that song we all know has just taken on a worldwide life of itself. Apple by Charlie XCX.
I think the apple's rotten right to the core. From all the things was done, from all the apples coming before.
Megan Thee Stallion featuring Yuki Chiba with Mamushi, Ashe's Nasty.
I've been a nasty, nasty, nasty. Is somebody gonna match my freak? Is somebody gonna match my freak?
These are only a few of the names you can expect to see out in New York at the VMAs, and I'm sure it will be a night filled with iconic performances, exciting wins, and plenty of awesome music, so I hope you're able to check it out, especially seeing as NSYNC are back on the ticket, because my God, that would be incredible. If they hit the stage and play some Bye Bye Bye, I will cry, cry, cry. That's all I can say. So don't forget, Wednesday, September 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the MTV VMAs. Kendrick Lamar has announced he will be headlining next year's Super Bowl game in New Orleans happening on February 9th. In a statement released from the NFL, Lamar said, "Rap music is still the most impactful genre to date, and I'll be there to remind the world why. They got this one right." It may seem like the 17-time Grammy winner, by the way, let that sink in. It might seem like he was just performing at the Super Bowl halftime show because he was back right here in Los Angeles in 2022. He took the stage with Dr. Dre, Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Mary J. Blige, and 50 Cent for what I think to this day might be the coolest Super Bowl halftime show that I have ever witnessed.
We gon' be on 35 summers in the making, stop faking, you forgot about Dre. 35 summers in the making, I'm talking NWA.
But Kendrick Lamar has had a wild year following his very public beef with Drake, where they were both firing diss tracks at each other, sometimes multiple songs in a single day. And Lamar's track, Not Like Us, took the world by storm, and it is still being blasted all over the radio.
Aye, monster on the beat, Debo, any rap, he a freak though.
I think it's safe to assume the entirety of the Super Bowl halftime show will literally be Kendrick Lamar playing Not Like Us over and over again from beginning to end. I say this because earlier this year at the Pop Out Ken and Friends show, he played the song 5 times in a row, and the crowd was more hyped each time that he played it. The roof was off the place by the time the 5th song was kicking off. A lot of people have been saying they felt like Lil Wayne should have been hitting the stage at the show because of his New Orleans roots, but I'm not surprised to see Kendrick Lamar's name get announced, especially with the career in general he has, but with the past year that he has too. He's just a great name to loop in on it. But I do hope that we see some unexpected names and faces hit that stage, and I bet we will, and I hope one of them is Lil Wayne, because that would just be super sick. All right, let's hop on over to TikTok now. Everybody's favorite app, the place where music breaks and trends explode. But the latest trend has many people baffled and others looking at some serious prison time.
Here's what it is. It involves people depositing fraudulent checks into their Chase bank accounts and withdrawing the money before it's flagged. Well, that's actually fraud.
Last weekend, over the Labor Day weekend, a new trend emerged, the Chase Bank Infinite Money Glitch. Much to the surprise of some of the bank customers, they discovered that if you write a check to yourself for any amount and you cashed it, then you'd be able to withdraw that full amount of money immediately before the check either cleared or had a chance to bounce. Now, I feel like in this day and age, the physical check is a dying practice, something they should teach more in high school or just get more younger people aware of what they are and how they work. It's because especially for the younger generation, I feel like they don't use checks anymore. But I will let you know kind of how it works. So you write a check on a piece of paper, on a legal check for a specific amount of money. When you deposit the check, the money is supposed to be taken from the account the check is from and then put into the appropriate account. If the account the check is coming from doesn't have the funds in it, the check bounces and it is useless and there's no money to be given or shared. If you cashed a check before, you've probably seen though how they'll immediately grant you access to like a small amount of the money, like $200 or something, while they wait for the rest of the check to clear. From what I read, but I can't confirm, I didn't look too deep into the details, but someone hacked the Chase bank system and bypassed the part of the system that only releases a small amount of the money when you first deposit the check. So with that, it meant whoever put in a check, if they wanted to, could withdraw the full amount of whatever that amount of money was before the bank had time to properly go back and clear the check or to bounce the check. And people were shocked to see this, the infinite money glitch. And videos started popping off on TikTok of people showing their stacks of cash, accounts with tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of dollars in it in some cases, money that was not there beforehand. And then people immediately began spending all of that money. The problem is this was not a free money glitch. This was simply check fraud. And that is a federal crime. Chase Bank has obviously been made aware of the issue and immediately started freezing accounts and putting accounts who had committed check fraud into the negatives for whatever amount they had stolen. In some cases, when they realized without a doubt this check fraud thing was happening, they closed the account and then they set the negative balance in it to $99 billion. Just to really show, hey, do not mess with this account. There's something seriously wrong with this account. So they've been taking notice. What's more baffling to me is what I'm seeing on TikTok now. Chase Bank customer service employees who work from home, they have begun recording their phone interactions with the customers they are talking to. They're only recording like themselves on their phone, so you can't hear the customer, but you can hear what they are saying.
If you don't know them, why would you cash out or use the ATM to take out the money of someone that you don't even know?
And the customers are calling to say that their accounts are tens of thousands of dollars in debt, seemingly ignoring the fact that they wrote a bad check for money they didn't have and then exploited the glitch that allowed them to withdraw the full amount. They're calling up Chase and saying, hey, why does my account say there's $75,000 missing out of here? What's going on? Why is that happening? Ignoring the fact that they have completely committed check fraud. Chase Bank is the largest bank in the U.S., by the way, the 5th largest bank in the world, the oldest bank in the United States. Just from those credits, I feel like it's not a place that you're going to want to mess with. And I have a strong feeling they're going to do whatever they can to get their money back. And I think Chase Bank is going to have the resources to make that happen. From what I saw, there's been just over 1,100 arrests due to this, and over $94 million was stolen. Now, you might be asking yourself, what happens to someone who does this? Someone who commits check fraud, which I do think a few of these people didn't even realize what they were doing. They truly somehow thought there was a money glitch, but there's no such thing as free money. That's not the way it works. Someone's going to come knocking for that money and if free money appears, and in this case, it is Chase Bank. So again, what happens to someone who commits check fraud? It is not good. I can tell you that. You lose any access to any type of bank accounts for the rest of your life. Banks will refuse to work with you. You won't be able to get loans of any type, and you will have a felony on your record for the rest of your life, which can make it very hard to get jobs. And when it comes down to trying to get an apartment and they do these checks on you, it's going to be nearly impossible. These are horrible lifelong consequences that come with it. I really don't even know how you keep your money or how you get paid when you have been banned from the bank like this, because we all get money either direct deposit or with a check, but who's going to cash your check? If you have been caught with check fraud, no banks are. So do they just pay you in cash? I really don't know how it works. But you, of course, need to pay all of the money back. And Chase Bank is requesting just that as soon as possible from the people who have taken money illegally from their accounts to avoid being arrested. But I assure you, they're still definitely going to push charges against all of these people. There are some cases where significant others of people randomly sent their partner money and they gave them a false explanation. Hey, I was out gambling. Hey, my buddy owed me this money, so he gave it to me. Then they were surprised when their accounts were suddenly frozen and emptied. And there's been cases where people didn't really know what was happening and offered up their bank account after being told someone had a check to cash, and they'd give them a kickback from that check if they cashed it for them. So I'm pretty sure this whole thing is going to get pretty messy, and there's going to be a lot of different stories coming out about people who just straight up did it and other people who were unknowingly involved. To what extent, I guess we'll find out. Now, as for the actual penalties that come with check fraud, so here's an example of what people from New Jersey may be charged with for check fraud, and this comes from MarketWatch.com and references the check amount, the potential jail time, and the potential fines. It will be different, I'm guessing, across all states, but also very serious and probably somewhat similar across all states. So under $200 is up to 6 months in jail, and a fine of up to $1,000, excuse me. $200 to $1,000 of fraudulent checks is up to 18 months in jail and up to a $10,000 fine. $1,000 to $75,000 check is up to 5 years in jail and up to a $15,000 fine. And over $75,000 of fraudulent checks is up to 10 years in prison and up to $150,000 in fines. And the charges for check fraud, they are pretty dang severe and have lifelong consequences and effects, like no more bank accounts, for example, as a way to hopefully be a strong deterrent for people doing things like we have seen this past week. Because there's been stories in the past, especially many decades ago, where people could commit check fraud for an insane amount of money and get that money out and then even be caught for it. They would then get arrested and spend like 5 years in prison. But before they even went to prison, they put all this money that they stole through check fraud into an offshore account. Then they get out of prison after a pretty short amount of time and go move overseas, start their new life, never come back to the States, and have millions of dollars in a bank account that's just waiting for them that no one but them can touch. And that's just honestly too nice of an idea for some people. So they have to make sure it's very stiff consequences about that. Crazy I have to say it, but don't commit check fraud. You will, unfortunately, ruin your life. And stop posting about it on social media if you did do it, because Chase's TikTok account, the Chase Bank TikTok, has started commenting on and retweeting or sharing on TikTok people's videos where they are committing check fraud. So let's not do that. All right. I know we've got some music fans out there, but I'm also hoping we've got a few movie fans out there, because every week I love doing a box office breakdown just to see what movies are bringing in theaters over the weekends. I compare them to their budgets and we see what's profitable or not. And especially in the past few years, it's been strange because we all like staying home for movies. So let's kick off your box office breakdown. Coming in at number one this past weekend, no surprise, is Beetlejuice, the sequel to the 1988 Tim Burton film. He is back to direct this. Michael Keaton is back, as well as Winona Ryder, and Jenna Ortega is making her debut in the Beetlejuice world. It came out on September 6th, brought in $100 million in the U.S. over the weekend on its $100 million budget, for a worldwide total of $146 million. I have a feeling the movie is going to be considered profitable. It's got to hit that $200 million mark to be profitable, because as I always say, when a movie is in theaters, pretty much the movie theater gets half the ticket sale, the studio gets the other half of the sale. So therefore, for the studio to break even on its budget at the box office, it's got to make twice of that. Deadpool and Wolverine came in at number two. I think it's been number one every week up until now, though. It was directed by Sean Adam Levy. It stars Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. Came out back on July 6th, but over this weekend, it brought in $7.2 million on its $200 million budget. It has now brought in $1.287 billion, the highest grossing R-rated film of all time, and a much-needed success for Disney, Disney has infinite money coming in thanks to all of its parks and branding and movies and all that stuff, but they've had a couple misses in the theaters lately, okay? So one like this is a welcome surprise, especially to those who thought that when Disney bought Fox, they were going to ruin the Deadpool brand by kind of making it more PC or toning down the language and blood and making it more kid-friendly. They didn't do that. They knew what they were doing, and they have made the most expensive or the highest grossing rated R film of all time. Reagan, the biographical drama about President Ronald Reagan, starring Dennis Quaid. They brought in $5.2 million this weekend on a budget of $25 million. Worldwide total of $18.5 million. I think the movie is not going to be profitable. It's got a ways to go to hit that $50 million mark to make twice the budget, and I don't think it's going to make it there. Haven't seen it. I've heard very mixed to not the best things about it, but I can't say it because I haven't seen it, so I can't give my own personal opinion. Number 4 at the box office, rather, in the final 4 wrapping it up this week is Alien Romulus, the latest installment of the Alien franchise. That dropped back on August 16th this past weekend in the U.S. It made $3.9 million on an $80 million budget. This movie is profitable. It has made $314 million worldwide, so they have done well with this one. It is a quality film and a fantastic just kind of rejuvenation to the franchise that has at times, I feel like, been exhausted. Also, if you like crime documentaries, I would recommend the new series Worst Ex Ever.
He obviously do not know how to take no for an answer.
Let's be very careful with evidence, please.
On Netflix, it's a follow-up to 2022's Worst Roommate Ever, which are these multi-episode series documentary series where each episode tells a crazy story of either an insane roommate or a crazy ex leading up to situations where crimes are committed and the police are involved, and in some cases, murder happens. Very captivating series if you like the genre. So again, Worst Ex Ever and Worst Roommate Ever. But all you sports fans out there, you're going to love the new Netflix documentary, Untold: Sign Stealers.
Michigan violated an NCAA rule. Suddenly, something crazy was going on.
Connor Stallions was the ringleader.
Their latest Untold. I think they just dropped a couple from the Untold series, which dives in to different kind of iconic or unknown but insane sports stories from the professional sports world. Like, even if you don't like sports, but you like crime or controversial things, it's a fantastic series. So Untold: Sign Stealer, it follows Connor Stallions addressing the Michigan State sign stealing fiasco from the 2023 season. You might recall that, and he was being blamed for filming the other teams and going to their games and stealing the signs so that the Michigan State team knew what was going to be happening. Check that out if it sounds fun to you. Check out the whole series if it sounds good to you. But I know you're all going to be this Wednesday checking out the MTV VMAs. That is, again, Wednesday, September 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Our good friend Halsey, who we spoke to for several minutes on Friday, she is going to be performing there, as well as some of the other many names that I mentioned. So thank you so much, Halsey, for chatting. I really do appreciate it. That was so rad. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in and listening to this. I am Nick Major with the Spout Podcast. Have a wonderful day. Follow your dreams and make whatever you want your reality. Make that your reality. See you next time.